I was so excited before season 5 came out, and it did initially meet my expectations, but it did feel like there was a gradual decline. They did the majority of things really, really well, so they stay consistent with the show overall. But then they do some things that are quite questionable. Welcome back to Binge Watcher Hub. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Netflix TV series Stranger Things, and specifically the brand new season 5. And what I thought would be a no-brainer turns out to be a little bit tricky for me. So is season 5 of Stranger Things worth the watch? Let's talk about it. Season 5 of Stranger Things picks up with Hawkins on the brink of collapse, as the fallout of Vecna's actions has pushed both the real world and the Upside Down even closer than ever. The group is facing its biggest threat yet, with everything they've been through building towards one final confrontation. The core cast returns, including Millie Bobby Brown as Eleven, Finn Wolfhard as Mike, Gaten Matarazzo as Dustin, Caleb McLaughlin as Lucas, and Noah Schnapp as Will. Alongside them are familiar faces like Winona Ryder, David Harbour, and the wider group that's grown with the show over the years. The central conflict is stopping Vecna before his plan fully takes over the world. For the group, it's not just about survival anymore. It's about confronting the past, making sacrifices, and facing consequences that feel permanent. The season is structured as a high-stakes final chapter, with long episodes that give big moments time to land. It feels heavier, more intense, and more emotional. This really isn't background TV. It demands your attention. The story brings its major arcs to a close, focusing more on emotional payoffs than pure spectacle. While not every moment lands perfectly, the resolution feels intentional and reflective of how far these characters have come. Right, I think it's important to start by saying that the show overall is phenomenal. But we're here to talk about season 5. And season 5 specifically starts off by making me feel really impressed. I was so excited before season 5 came out, and it did initially meet my expectations, but it did feel like there was a gradual decline. They did the majority of things really, really well, so they stay consistent with the show overall. But then they do some things that are quite questionable. So let's start with the story, because I think this is where the question marks mainly lie for me. The story is riddled with positives and negatives. It really felt like it started strong and then it slowly worsened as we went on. It feels like a true continuation rather than a reset, which, without stating the obvious, is to be expected. Something that I thought they did brilliantly was how they scheduled the release of the final season, which was that they released it in 3 parts. Episodes 1 to 4 were released just before Christmas, episodes 5 to 7 just after, and then you had the finale on New Year's Day. That sequence that they rolled out gave us enough time to breathe and digest what we'd just seen, but also pulled on our strings to satisfy our need to want the next stage in the story. Part 1 for me worked wonders. Absolutely brilliant. Loved it. Part 2 is where things start to wobble a little bit for me. There is a lot of one-to-one emotional conversations that go on, which is fine, but then there are so many times where a conversation is had between 2 characters, they end that conversation, go away, and then they come back again to pick up another element of a conversation that they need to have, which is really emotional, with the same 2 characters. And it wasn't done once, not just twice, maybe 3 or so times. And then you factor all of that in with all of the other characters that are having one-to-one emotional conversations. And that's where it really just starts to wear you down. And then you're hit with part 3 as the finale to the season, which is where it completely misses the mark for me. Now, anyone that knows this channel well knows that I love long episodes, movies, doesn't matter. I love that because you cover more ground and I think it has better potential. What I don't like is when that is taken advantage of and you're not satisfied by the expectations that you have towards the reasoning of that really long installment. And with season 5 of Stranger Things, the episodes are almost movie length with their duration, roughly around about an hour. And the finale is over 2 hours. Now, it does suit the scale of the story, but it does make this more of a committed watch for some people. Like, you cannot just casually watch this show. But like I said, for me, I absolutely loved it. I loved the fact that they approached each episode being over an hour long. But I can understand how some people might be put off by this because it is a big commitment. Another thing that I really loved about this season were all of the twists that were integrated into it. There are so many bombshells and it feels like a brilliant roller coaster. Just when you think you've figured things out, season 5 delivers a complete twist and reframes everything that's going on. The biggest letdown for the show for me is the final battle. After such a big build-up with all of the previous seasons, and in this season alone, it feels like a big shift in focus towards selfless choices and emotion rather than delivering the payout that matches the tension. And to build on that, what I thought was quite interesting was there seemed to be a hidden message, all centered around letting go of the past, almost a Hakuna Matata type of vibe going on. And while I appreciate the underlying message, I would have rather that they focused on delivering something within the true nature of Stranger Things to give it the send-off that it truly deserves and satisfy viewer expectations. The characters are the bedrock of the show, and they're maintained by keeping a consistency coming into this season 5 finale. It honestly felt like a bit of a coming of age type of vibe, where the kids as our main characters have finally come into their own. It almost reminds me of that Harry Potter style transition, where we're reminded of how far those main characters have come and how much they've grown. This season, the group of characters all seem a lot more organised and a lot more focused. They're no longer scrambling, they know exactly what they're up against. The Demogorgons deserve to get a shout out. Their ferocity has always been a highlight of mine, and they've just been brilliant for the show. I mean, there were multiple times, especially when I first started watching the show, that they had me on the edge of my seat. And for those who know me, I hate horrors. I really thought Robin shines in this season, but she does it in a subtle way. I particularly liked the radio station setting that she's revolved around. It felt like a nice contrast between old world and new world, almost radio versus podcast, and I thought it was really great to give her the space to stand out in that subtle way. We see Dustin deal with a lot of grief that he's not overcome from the last season. 11 growing not just in her character, but also growing in strength with all of her powers. And the really cool thing about 11 this season is it's not just a case of her battling monsters anymore. She's facing both magic and physical threats, making her journey all that more harder and more intense. Now, Will Byers steals the show for me. He's always been closely tied to 11, but this season he truly steps into his own. I really enjoyed the little love triangle that's going on between Steve, Jonathan and Nancy, bringing back that familiar tension and the emotional pull. Vecna as a villain is one of the best. I absolutely loved him. I thought he was brilliant. Definitely up there for me with one of the great villains. And a few characters that didn't go under the radar, but weren't the star of all the seasons were definitely Dr. K. I thought she was particularly unhinged and a brilliant character to take over from the previous mad scientist in Martin Brenner. I really liked that they gave more screen time in a different type of way to Mr. Scott Clark, who's our fan favourite science teacher. And then you have Lieutenant Robert Akers, who's the ruthless right-hand man to Colonel Sullivan, who's another one that's completely ruthless. The viewing experience stays consistent, so there's not an awful lot to call out that we wouldn't already be calling out from all of the seasons previously, but the 80s authenticity and attention to detail don't go amiss. Like, they got it spot on. From the cars to the costumes to the hairstyles, buildings, and all the set designs as a whole just play a huge part in aiding the story's progression. So, is season 5 of Stranger Things worth the watch? I'm going to say yes for my love of the show in its entirety. I thought season 5 was good, but I can't help but feel that I came away not feeling completely satisfied. There's a lot of question marks that feel unanswered, and the final battle really wasn't the greatest for me. With all the pressure build up in this final season, and with how long the episodes are, I was expecting a much longer battle sequence. If you're looking for a TV show that's highly character driven, then this could be the show for you. If you're a fan of the show, then I don't need to tell you, right? I give season 5 of Stranger Things a 4 out of 5 buckets. Now it's your turn. If you've already seen season 5 of Stranger Things, what did you think? Did it live up to expectations or did it miss the mark? And if you haven't checked out the show yet, does it sound like something that you would binge? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more reviews and reactions right here on Binge Watcher Hub. Until next time, happy binge watching.